Hi folks, Chiavello here again. I'm the publisher and editor of Primo Magazine, and I'm coming to you from my office to talk to you about a new DVD that we're selling. This is a documentary. You can see it right here. It's Primo Levi's Journey. Primo Levi's Journey was a documentary that was done in 2008 for REI Cinema, and it's an Italian production, and it's very good. I think you'll enjoy it. You can purchase this DVD and others by logging on to our website, www.onlineprimo.com/DVDs.html. Now this documentary gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit about Primo Levi. Primo Levi is one of Italy's best writers, and he's still very, very popular. I was at a bookstore recently here in Washington, D.C., and I saw several people buying his books that were available for sale. Now, he wrote books, he wrote essays, some poems. He wrote about his experiences in World War II. And his breakout book, which was published in 1947, was titled If This Is a Man. And this was about his experiences in Auschwitz. And he wrote this book, he wrote others. He spent about a year in Auschwitz. What happened to him was he grew up in Turin, Italy. And Turin, Italy has a very sizable and active Jewish population. You can just tell that just by looking at the skyline. The pyramid-shaped building which dominates the skyline is the Mole Antonelliana, and that was designed and constructed to be a synagogue. Was completed in the late 1800s. But the Jewish community had run out of money by then, and so it was turned over to the government. Today it's a museum. And a number of very famous people have come from Turin who were Jewish Italians, one of which shares the last name with Primo Levi, and that's Carlo Levi. They're not related, and not to be confused with each other. Carlo Levi is about 18 years older than Primo Levi. Carlo Levi, I think, was born in 1902. Primo Levi was born in 1919. Carlo Levi was a physician and an artist. He had opposed the fascists when they came to power in the 1920s, and for that Mussolini arrested him and sent him into exile to remote villages in southern Italy. And Carlo Levi wrote about his experiences, and that became the book Christ Stopped at Eboli. And this remains an excellent book. And great books will make great movies, and that's what happened in 1979. Francesco Rosi made a movie of the same title. It's got a beautiful film score, and it's a very good movie. Who played Carlo Levi was none other than Gian Maria Volante. And you know him from the spaghetti westerns directed by Sergio Leone, A Fistful of Dollars for a Few Dollars More. He played the antagonist opposite of Clint Eastwood. He's a very good actor, and he's been in a lot of good movies that came out of Italy. But by the time Carlo Levi was in exile, Primo Levi was studying to be a chemist. They're not related. And by the time World War II began, Primo was a chemist. And then around 1943, he took up arms against the fascists. He joined the partisans. The fascists caught him in northern Italy, and they sent him to a prisoner of war camp in the Emilia-Romagna region. Now, in 1943, Mussolini had been deposed, but he had been brought back to power by the Nazis. He was a puppet government, and the Nazis had full control of northern Italy. One of the first things they did was go to the prisoner of war camps, separate the Jewish from the other detainees, and send them up north to concentration camps. And that's how Primo Levi ended up in Auschwitz. In January of 1945, Soviet troops finally invaded that area of Poland, took over the camp, freed everyone, and now they had the responsibility to return Primo Levi back to his home in Turin. This is January of 1945. Primo Levi didn't get back to home until October of 1945. He shows up at his house in Turin, knocks on the door, and nobody's home. His parents had relocated temporarily to their country home to escape the war. So for 8 months, he was trying to get back home. So what happened? Well, the Russians didn't take him west. They could have put him on a train, take him through Poland, Germany, Austria, into Italy. Instead, what they did, they took him east. They took him to the Ukraine, Belarus, Moldavia. Then they took him to the Soviet-occupied territories of Romania, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, into Germany, Austria, finally over the border into Verona, and then to Turin and home. So this was a stop-and-go type train ride. I mean, the train would stop for 3 weeks to a month, and Primo Levi was there in this remote village somewhere in Eastern Europe. He had no idea where they were taking him, but it was better than what he had experienced before at Auschwitz. And all he could do really was write about it, and he did. He had a diary, and that became a book of his also. In 1963, he published it, called The Reawakening. Well, the filmmakers, that's what they did. They went back to this journey, and they went over the route again, all throughout Eastern Europe. They took their cameras. They wanted to see what this area was like now. And so they looked at the people, the farmers, the soldiers, the current events, the social issues and conflicts there, and they juxtaposed this coverage, with interviews with people and other things, with the words of Primo Levi that he wrote 70 years ago. And they're still valid. They still apply. He really captured the essence of this area of the world. And that's what I find so fascinating about this documentary. You hear his words spoken to us by Chris Cooper. And he really captured the essence. He really captured the spirit of this region of Europe. And, the filmmakers are Italian, so they do make the Italian connection to this area. At one scene, there is a factory that's owned by the Italians. After the Cold War, a number of Italian companies relocated their manufacturing facilities in Eastern Europe. And, this Italian manager is very enthusiastic, optimistic. He's very excited about having a factory there in Romania. Then they talk to the Romanian workers, and, they're very courteous, they're very kind. And they're asked, do you like working for an Italian manager? And they nod and they say yes, but you can tell, they don't like them. They would rather have their own people control the factory. But part of this documentary also talks about, Primo Levi. Here he is, right there as a young man, and what it was like for him when he came home, how he assimilated back into society near the end of his life, his last decade or so. He died in 1987. They talked to people who knew him. Not only was he a chemist and a writer, but he was also an outdoorsman. And this part of the documentary is interesting. He was successful. He was intellectual. But near the end of his life, he was melancholic. He was looking back at the time he spent in World War II, and it still affected him, understandably so. And so it remains a mystery. Did he take his own life? He suffered a serious accident inside his home. And people wonder if he did it on purpose. And the film talks about that. So, Primo Levi's journey, thumbs up all the way. I've seen it 4 times already, and I really enjoyed it. It's a very well-made documentary. The filmmakers did a very good job, put a lot of work into it. It's all Italian, and they really capture the essence of this area. They really tell you a lot about Primo Levi, and so if you don't know him, it's a great DVD to get introduced to him. If you like him like I do, it reinforces your admiration for him. Primo Levi's journey, so we sell it on Primo's website. You can log on to www.onlineprimo.com/dvds.html. Now, we got a new edition coming out, but you can still go online and order the one, put it back here, and order the one that we came out recently. Buy one for yourself and buy one for a family member or a friend. Why not? You get 2. You can buy one, get half price off the second. Anyway, I'm Chibi Chiavello. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next time we talk about our Italian-American connection, as always, thank you for reading Primo, and thank you for watching our channel.